Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We're here.
what do they call it? Pandora's box.
Pandora's box. Or Pandorum's box if you're watching Avatar.
Oh. What's that called?
Pandorum? Isn't that?
I thought it was Pandora also. No?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Fuck if I know.
I was supposed to go see it. I don't know why I didn't. I was supposed to go see it.
I almost went too, and either that or Black Panther. I was going to go to the movies because like my wife had this bug and her ears were stopped up. She couldn't hear anything, so basically there was no conversation at home. And I was like, I'm going to go to the movies, and I ended up not going.
Both of those movies are right up my alley, and right up, I feel like the type of movies that are better in theater.
Yeah,
and so I feel bad not going to them.
well, it's not too late.
That's true. They're both still out.
Yeah, and
even though I think Black Panther's out in Disney Plus in like a week.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, like
I'd still rather see it in the theater.
Yeah,
but
Marvels are obviously still good, and that one got pretty good reviews. But Avatar, everyone said was banging, and they are just so good on like big screen type shit. But Pandora, you might be right. It might be Pandorum. I don't even know. Yeah, Pandora's box is what, a Greek mythology deal?
I believe that's correct. Yeah,
and that's what happened into the.
You're right. It's Pandora.
Yeah,
it's an exomoon.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
I've been listening to some space shit. I do know we just found an Earth somewhere, or like an Earth, very, very similar Earth.
Yeah. I read this article the other day. I don't remember who it was by or what their credentials were or anything like that, but what they were saying was that even if we found a planet that had similar conditions to Earth, because it's not Earth, we couldn't live there because we have evolved and adapted to live exactly in this climate.
Yeah. I think we probably could with technology, but it probably wouldn't be the same, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be like you just go there and like walk around in shirt sleeves.
Yeah, and even their water, right? Like even you go drink water in Mexico if you're an American and you're going to shit your brains out.
Potentially,
right? But if you're a Mexican, you may not because you might be used to whatever minerals or bugs or whatever are in there. So think about the water we're trying to drink on the dark side of the moon. Yeah, your guts are going to your asshole's going to turn inside out.
Right. Yeah. It was like the fact that dogs can eat roadkill because they have the gut bacteria to do that, where we don't.
Yeah. So we could probably go there and find a way to make it habitable, but just living straight up doesn't seem very.
Yeah.
But the Pandora's box was actually in powerlifting.
This time, yeah. But like the thing is, I mean, I don't know if Pandora's box sat around and a few people knew what was in it before it was cracked open, or if it was just like, because clearly people knew what was going on here. If you haven't, we're not going to get into the absolute details of this whole situation. We're going to talk about it a little bit more philosophically, unless of course we get into the details.
Yeah. Yeah, you can find the weeds somewhere else. And the weeds almost just don't matter. Like they do, but they don't.
They do, but they don't. Yeah. That's been my feeling about it from the beginning. It's like, but if you want to indulge, it's at goob.
Yeah, YouTube
_U2
again,
on Instagram.
Did we talk about him already? Did I already make this joke? He's a Bono fan.
Well, why do you think he's a Bono fan?
Because his name's
U2. Oh, yeah. That's a possibility.
I don't know why it's U2.
I don't know why it is either.
Yeah, we talked about it, right? Because
we talked about it a little bit last week.
Because they grabbed the key to Pandora's box, but then it opened over the weekend.
It really opened wide. Yeah.
Yeah. We almost made light of it because I think the first key was funny. It was just a lady wiping pussy juice everywhere.
Right.
Which is like very inappropriate, but very funny. And then the next, when the box was opened, it became very much less funny. So I guess almost for myself, I apologize joking about the pussy juice, but that was just a appetizer to the darkness. Because that's not dark to me, right? That's like inappropriate, not cool, but that's literally like worldstarhiphop.com when a lady's wiping pussy juice on my window.
Right.
Like that's not harming anyone really. That's totally not okay. And I don't condone it.
Yeah.
But I can giggle about it, scroll past it, move on.
Right.
What happened next, again, we don't need to get into the weeds, but, sexual assault and this brotherhood of hiding stuff and literally federations stating that they're going to do something and don't. And then coming out and literally saying, no, we didn't.
Right.
Like that's not cool. Not having an HR, Like, I don't think it's been confirmed they have an HR department, but all these emails leaked where they keep saying, oh, we'll send it to HR. And that's like a joke we make, but we only have 2 employees, so it's not funny, right? Yeah. Oh, you want to talk to HR? Yeah, you're talking to them, right? That's like a joke small companies make. But this is a very large company that's been around at least 20 years, right?
No, not that long.
Okay, 15. Heading there.
I'm not sure.
So over a decade.
Yeah, over a decade.
It's getting there. It's very established. It handles hundreds of thousands of people weekly in terms of lifters, et cetera, not employees necessarily.
Maybe less than that, but yeah, tens of thousands for sure.
Yeah. And you can't, they're not joking when they say, well, I'm sending it to HR is the point. And then as far as I know, they don't have an HR.
Yeah, it does. Everything I've seen seems to indicate that they do not have an HR.
And I don't know if they publicly said that. And I know they made a statement today about changing things, but I guess the bigger, I don't know, I'm so torn on all of it. No, I'm not torn on this being right or wrong. Clearly it's wrong, and clearly there needs to be change, but I guess my issues internally meaning myself, are that every organization is going to have issues, right? Like you can even look at America, right? And America was built on this political, democratic republic with a bunch of checks and balances, and there's still issues.
Right.
So then when I look at this, and we've talked about it by name or not, the USPA in Denison, it's owned by one person.
Right.
And it's a money-making machine that's supposed to be based on a federation or association, but it's owned by one person. We're going to have issues. Because sidestep to it, we look at the USAPL, and although it's very organized and the meets and stuff are wonderful, there's issues when we talk about the financial side, right? Where's all this money going? Who's making the money? Who's using it? Who's choosing to allocate it where? Is it open book? And maybe it is. I don't, I have my own businesses to run. I'm not researching the open bookness or the transparency of the USAPL, but it seems to be a lot of questions by a lot of people, right? And then how that political side works. So, and that is like more of an association with the council and executives. Mm-hmm. So you go to the USPA now. We've always known, and I think a lot of people have, that when it's owned by one person, now you're a business. You're not like for the lifters, and you're not an association.
You can make that your tagline all day long, but if it's actually for benefiting your pocket and for the pockets of your friends, then it's not. It's not nonprofit, and it's not actually for the people involved. It's for you.
And then even we get, right, not to dive deeper, but you get into a nonprofit. I guess this is my internal battle again. You get into a nonprofit, and that sounds cherry, but it's not, right?
But it's not because
we've looked at Wounded Warriors and some of the controversies that have happened there.
Yeah.
And people say, the other thing I just want to nip in the bud right away is everyone's like calling this the USPA controversy. This ain't a fucking controversy. This is a fucking issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
exactly.
This ain't no controversy, because controversy to me means that there's multiple sides that maybe split almost 50-50 that believe it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, the controversy we landed on the moon. That's a controversy. This ain't a controversy. This is fucked up. This is just wrong.
Yeah.
There's maybe 5 people that believe it's okay. And those are the 5 people that did the fucked up shit.
They probably knew. They probably had a little guilt over it. Maybe, I don't know, unless they're complete sociopaths.
No, they for sure know that something's not right here, and like, with the internet age, everything's obviously going to come to light. But then I guess the other internal battle I have is when does this stop? When should we expect it? What is the line? Because we can't have a perfect association either. Like, that's just not going to happen either. And so, not to say that this doesn't need attention, doesn't need criticism and change, because I truly believe it does. But where does that line draw? Right? Like, where do we draw? Like, all right, this is enough. Let's continue to run the USPA, or do we just dismantle this whole bitch and we head elsewhere? And again, I got way more questions than I got answers. I don't know shit.
Yeah, and I think that, we both want to try to be careful and not tar everybody with the same brush, as they say, because there are good people who run meets and compete in meets and judge meets in the USPA.
Tons. We've had, and the other issue with everything is you go digging deep enough, you're going to find some shit.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't perfect. I'm sure you go dig and find that Mike's a piece of shit someday, somewhere, to somebody.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective. There's somebody, and again, morality is a spectrum. Sexual assault, pedophilia, violence,
all those
crime.
Things are beyond the pale,
those
man.
are way over there. Those are high on this spectrum. So, you ain't gonna find that with me, but you're gonna find somebody that don't like me, right? So, this is just, there's so many, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I guess that's where the internal battle with myself is happening, is that this whole thing is complicated. And like Jim said, there's good people involved. You know, there's good people do bad things.
Good people do bad things. Bad people do good things.
And bad people do bad things.
And bad people do bad things.
And good people end up tied up with good people.
Yeah.
Right? So like, you know, that's where it all sucks, you know, and powerlifting is so, it grew so rapidly, and the money was so everywhere.
Yeah.
That obviously, you know, there's going to be speed bumps along the way, and this is just one of them. You know, I wonder if you look into jiu-jitsu, or you look into Olympic weightlifting, or you dive deep into some of these other associations, if they had similar growing pains. And it sucks that the women especially, or the children especially, in these occasions had to happen. And obviously, when you get into fitness, even though it happens in corporate world too, women seem to get the brunt of this stuff, right? With the power dynamic and shitty men acting shitty here. It sucks that the victims had to be part of it, but it is growing pains, and we don't live in a perfect world. But what do we do? Yeah, we start to delete some of these people, and I guess that was the latest statement. Again, not that we're avoiding the weeds. It's been thrown all over the internet.
You guys can educate yourselves on this. That's not our...
But basically, yeah, some of the top dogs said they're stepping down from one of their seats, but they're not stepping away from the company.
Yeah.
Like that happened in you know, the streamer world I follow and stuff. Some of these people own organizations, some sexual assault stuff or whatever came out.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, yeah, he's just going to step down from a seat. Well, he still owns the company.
Right.
This exact same thing happened in the streamer world that, you know, I try not to follow drama, but it happens in every world everywhere. So in the gaming scene, the same shit happened, but he still owns the company.
Right.
And that literally, word for word, step by step, this happened in the streamer world over the last 6 months. And so, like, is that a solve? Like, putting someone on timeout is, like, I guess step one, right? Because you don't want to act too rash either way.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these things seem so crazy that, like, yeah, and you can't really fire yourself. You know, like, you can, like, disown the company or sell it, I guess.
Yeah, sell it. I don't know.
But like, you can't really...
Who buys it?
Yeah, and you can't really blame someone for not firing themselves either.
Right.
Right? You would think, I guess you would cross your... Because I'm also... You know, empathetic Mikey is all for, like, rehabilitation and reconstruction of people, and I do believe in second chances in some senses. But then, like, what are we doing? Like, are we going to therapy? Are we going through some programs? Are we hiring an HR person to handle me? Right? If I'm the fucking issue, I have to solve me. And I guess that's where my, you know, more definite thought is. A lot of my thoughts are wishy-washy because I like to see both sides. But my more definite thought is if this is an issue from the top down, then the top has to look in the fucking mirror and say, I'm going to change and I'm going to do these things. And the only thing stated so far is the USPA is going to look at this. The USPA is going to look at this.
Right.
And the USPA, well, the USPA isn't a person.
Yeah.
The USPA didn't have, that's the problem here, right? The USPA doesn't have issues.
Right.
The people who run the USPA have issues. So where are these people looking in the mirror, waking up in the morning, wipe your little fucking eye boogies, look yourself in the goddamn eye, and say, I'm the issue, I need to change? And that's obviously very difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult to say, more difficult to do, but that hasn't happened. And I guess that's why people are still firing up and saying, let's not support this place.
Yeah, and I think that our friend Joe Sullivan was quoted as saying that he just didn't think he was going to have to explain how to apologize to, like, grown people, particularly grown men.
It's really hard on social media. You know, no one wants to do it. It's hard in real life too.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to fake whatever. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And accountability in general is a very difficult thing.
Yeah, and a thing that really bugs me about it is going back to the people who are, you know, blameless in all this, is that part of the reason that people get into powerlifting is because of community. They feel a sense of community.
100%.
And there are a few federations that people identify with so closely. And now those people have to be saying, either some of them are saying, you know, ride or die. And there are other people like, I don't know where to go now. I don't know what to do. And I don't have any of those answers. The thing that struck me the other day about this is that every federation that exists right now in powerlifting started because people who had a common goal couldn't fucking get along with each other.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, as far as I know.
And that's why there's so many goddamn federations.
And that's why there's so many federations.
And that's even part of this drama is the USPC, right? Which is a branch off of the USPA because they had their own drama.
Yeah, and then there was the USPF, which is where the USPA came from,
which stemmed from drama.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama. You can do your own research on this. I did not personally witness this happening. I was told what happened by somebody who was on the executive council of the USPF, so I know the story as it was related to me by that person. That's all I know. But it was not without controversy, and the USPA, when it started, tried to take the USPF's records and keep them as its own, and there was a lawsuit about that and that they lost.
Isn't it crazy? All this, that's all previous to powerlifting even being like cool and popular.
Yeah.
Right? That's 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just so weird to me. And I understand we can't get along, and I understand that's why politics are what politics are, and I understand. But there's just got to be a better way.
It's like having 40 political parties.
It's not happening in high school, college, and NBA basketball.
No.
Like, there's little scuffles, and there's disagreements, but, like, I don't know.
Even the thought of trying to get into the Olympics or compete on some kind of world stage in powerlifting is not enough to keep people in line and keep them in check about
because look
rules.
At USAPL and the IPF, right?
Yeah,
like one
fell apart.
Yeah, fell apart based on and what I would think in the scale of what's happening right now, semantics.
Really? Yeah.
Right. It's about who drugs test, how much, and when. And the USAPL, I believe, wanted to drug test more than the IPF required, and the USAPL was mad that the other countries didn't hold the same standard as them, and so they just said, fuck you, I'm out. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to sexual assault, pedophilia, dirty money, old boys club, right? Like when you compare those things, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't have standardization of testing, right? Don't mismark my words here. I think that's great. And I think the USAPL should do what they did, and they're obviously being successful. That's great. But in the scale, and you compare it to these other drastic things, it's just so... maybe it is just a general culture thing, because even when I started powerlifting, even though it's not said much anymore, not only in our own circle, but throughout powerlifting, it was talking about, like, this is the sport for rejects, and this is the sport for people that don't play sports, and this is the sport for those that don't belong. And that became a little bit of the voice and a little bit of the culture, and that was cool. And I never really related to that, and I've talked about it to you and on the podcast in general, right? I grew up playing basketball. We had our own culture. I never felt like a reject in my life. I've always felt that I can't connect with humans on the deepest level, but I've never felt like a reject in my life by any means, right? I went to a weird school. There's little things that built up to that. But, like, and I understand why powerlifters did that, and I related fine with them, right? Yeah. Like, I think I could relate to some of the folks that didn't feel like they belonged in bodybuilding or football or something, and that was cool. And maybe that's part of the causal, the foundational reason that it's fucked up. Like these people, some of these people were maybe rejects for a reason.
Yeah, no, that I think that's absolutely
I guess
correct.
That's maybe the difference. People that don't feel like they fit in and a reject aren't always the same.
Aren't always the same.
Yeah, and so, like, you get a bunch of rejects together, and now you get some bad shit. You get a bunch of people that don't feel like they fit in, and you can maybe find your own club.
And you sprinkle that in with people who have a certain charisma that causes them to be able to convince people to go along with things that those people might not be entirely comfortable with, and keep things quiet and one thing or another. I'm going to sidestep for just a second to say something I was trying to remember to tell you. There was a very nice article about your former basketball coach in the B over the weekend.
Oh, fuck, I got to go look.
Yeah, it was really good.
Shout
a very long article about Dean Stark.
Yeah, I mean, he just broke, I think I shouted him out in our podcast already because I talked to him a little bit, but he broke the Northern California wins record, all-time high school basketball coach.
Yeah.
And if he, in my prediction, if he lasts maybe 2 or 3 more years, I think he might be the all-time winningest basketball coach in all California history, which is fucking insane. And all at the same school. Right. Because a lot of coaches will, like college and stuff, they'll just chase talent. Right, they'll I coached at Sac State, then I headed over to Stanford, which just happened. Yeah, and obviously you're gonna have a little more success at Stanford than you did at Sac State, just built into the history and the talent you can recruit. Right. But yeah, he did it all at the same school. I need to go check out that Sac B. That's dope to hear. So shout out to Dean. But even same along that, like, we're a team full of rejects, a team full of art kids, and you build a good community of positive stuff. Like, it is possible. For powerlifting not to be this way. I guess for me, I'm brain spewing and just spewing at you guys why this is. Why is it?
Yeah.
Right? Like fitness plays a role for sure, right? Because you get some weird egos, you get some weird sexual stuff going on with any kind of fitness, and you get, horny individuals, maybe steroids.
Not just maybe steroids.
Yeah, for
I think that's the biggest part of it. I mean, I'm gonna again tar some people with the same brush, and I'm sorry about this, but I'm just gonna say it because it's a surface observation, but I feel that it's true.
Yeah, it's a fact
that the tested federations run a little bit like homeowners associations. They're very rule heavy, rule bound, rule enforcers.
Yeah, but sports are.
Yeah,
Well,
they definitely can be.
Like basketball,
especially NC2A anything is very, very rule heavy.
You can't talk to a certain college. If you're in high school, you can't talk to a college coach from February to March 21st.
But I would tell you that's also very there's no drugs there. That's
true.
And
at
least
least
that's supposed to be.
Those rules get broken too, and corruption happens.
Right. Whereas some of the untested federations tend to run a little bit more like crime syndicates, where you're burying your mistakes, you're covering up things, you're blocking people's really blocking people's voice, because they're in opposition to what you're doing or what you've condoned or whatever.
The crimes seem to be, I guess, similar in a sense too, where and again, these are broad brushes,
right?
But even in basketball or the USAPL, we're looking at white collar crimes. We're looking at fraud. We're looking at tax. We're looking at money. The biggest NC2A one that just pops in my mind when we talk about this stuff, I think it was Steve Lavin, who was a coach at Louisville. He was funneling his best players to Adidas when they became pros. So Adidas was paying him a check. Obviously illegal. Obviously kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But all right. That's like me getting you a sneaker deal, right? It's not that bad. No one's getting hurt.
No.
Right?
Victimless crime.
Yeah, right? It's innocent enough.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is crimes with victims.
Yeah.
Real victims.
I saw pictures of ladies with bruises and obviously crime records of pedophilia and really dark, gross shit. That is way beyond white collar crime.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit on my high horse and white collar versus this crime, but it, fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And it does, and maybe some of that is in other federations, right? And it just hasn't been dug up yet. But I guess that's where the biggest line needs to be drawn. These federations are never going to be perfect. They're probably never going to get along. But let's take some grossness out of it for sure. Let's at least make sure, I guess victimless crimes.
Yeah.
Let's make make sure people are okay.
Yeah.
If people are okay, then I guess we're going to have to deal with the rest of the bullshit. There's always going to be politics. There's going to be money. Deadlift bar versus straight bar, dumbass shit that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
But at least people are safe and free to compete in a sport that really is for adults. Obviously kids, and I'm not saying that kids shouldn't belong, but I'm just saying it's a sport that you can compete in forever, is what I mean by that. Where we've talked about it before, basketball, football, eventually someone will tell you you're not good enough and end your career. Powerlifting, it's on you.
Yeah.
You can bench press and deadlift until you're 85. And so I guess that's what I meant by the age correlation there is we have such a broad spectrum of athletes and people in powerlifting, and that's what makes it fucking dope. But let's get the grossness out. And how do we do that? I don't know. If we don't have a real HR, if we don't have real background checks, and I guess some people are. I think the WRPF also came out and said they're going to start to do legitimate third-party background checks. But then how deep does that go?
Yeah.
Right? Do you do every lifter? Do you do every gym owner? Because now people are talking shit on gym owners that have a sign that say USPA. You can't control everyone either.
Right.
There's fucked up. We grab 1,000 people from any community anywhere, from Alabama to Sacramento to LA, and you're gonna get one fucked up person, right? The world's not perfect. So where do we draw that line too?
And that comes back around to the drugs again too, because people. I mean, steroids are not legal. In the
they're
United States.
fucking illegal. You're already getting into some sketchy shit.
If the level of steroid that you're taking to increase your performance in powerlifting is not something that you can get prescribed at that dosage from a doctor.
Yeah, it ain't TRT, despite what TikTok says.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And so people who are inherently willing to break the law,
right,
to try to achieve something that is really not important when it comes right down to the scheme of the world.
I guess I'm just not educated on all this shit enough. And I guess I should, give myself some leeway there because I don't need to be. But the gateway drug argument, right? Where like you do pot, you're gonna end up shoving a needle of heroin in your arm.
I
don't believe in that.
I don't believe that one either.
But with crime, I can see how that maybe isn't, right? You're starting to do some illegal shit. Now you're going to your buddies. Now you're getting more doses. Now I'm making steroids in my bathtub. And now what? Right. You know, like, and I'm sure someone could make the similar argument for marijuana to meth. But in my head, again, I'm speaking fully uneducated on this. I'm not a crime investigator. I'm not a psychologist.
Right.
But it does seem, like once you're willing to do some sketchy shit, doing half a step sketchier shit, it seems easy.
Yeah, they say the first murder is the hardest.
Yeah, for sure. If you murder one person, you could do another. That's a for sure ski.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. I don't know where I'm getting with any of this because there's so many thoughts. We have reached out to Joe Sullivan and Brandy to try to get some thoughts from them in a future podcast to give you guys some clarity, and maybe we'll dig in more of the weeds there, just get their brains. It is cool. Shout out to them for not only this situation. There's been other situations that I've seen both of them be very vocal about lifting in the community. So it's not like they're just witch hunting. They're very much about the community in many, many ways. So yeah, we're going to try to get some words from them in the future here in the next couple weeks, although our next couple weeks are chaotic as fuck here at 3rd Street.
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm. Actually, the calm after the storm and before the storm. We had 9 atmospheric river storms.
Yeah, the sun finally came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
so we're going to try to chat with them to get some more insight, and because we don't have answers, and I don't necessarily expect them to have answers either, because it is a very complicated thing, right? Like setting up a whole new association, funneling these powerlifters, marketing it. I mean, the amount of powerlifters that are in the USPA, I don't know. I'm making it up, but there's probably like 25,000 in the USAPL. So I'd assume there's probably similar-ish to the USPA
potentially
when you take the drug tested, non-drug tested. There's no way even 50% of them read this news. This may be news to many of you listeners out there.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I don't blame you, because powerlifting at its core is a hobby, right?
Correct.
The majority, the mass majority of people that compete in these sports this is their love and their hobby. They have regular jobs. They're not on Instagram all day. They don't have time to Google whether their meet director's a fucking pedophile, right? And I don't blame them for that. That's not on them, right? We should have a safe place. It's on us, and it's on the community. And as leaders in the community, that's why we're talking about this. I don't want to throw shade. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to get part of the politics, but I do believe in the sport of powerlifting building communities, and that's why we're even talking about this in the first place. And so, again, shout out to Joe and them. And maybe, and I know there's a lot of meetings going on. JP Price and other people are putting their word out there and figuring things out. I'm texting some homies left and right. I'm texting a lot of my gym owner homies about what the next path is, what the best path is, what they're doing, what their thoughts are.
Bunch of sponsors pulling out.
Yeah, and which is great. And I'm sure as many conversations are happening publicly, 3 times as many are happening privately, trying to find answers. We have a USAPL meet in February 4 and 5 here. We're going to continue to try to run meets and events, whether they have to be unsanctioned. I don't care. I want a place people feel safe, can lift, compete in a healthy way.
And feel comfortable who they're associating themselves with.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. Like, there's a Buddhism thing about right association, being associated with people who are legitimate and up, on the up and up, and powerlifting has always been on the edge of that. In the same way that bodybuilding has kind of always been on the edge of that.
Yeah, you dig into the IFBB, we're gonna find the same shit.
Yeah,
don't think
there's a bunch of stuff going on right now relative to behind the scenes weird ass shit relative to body.
So there's no way we're like necessarily, this shit is everywhere. But how do we? And what sucks is I wish it could be on all levels, right? I wish it could be who you associate with and you feel comfortable, physically safe,
right?
Financially safe. You're comfortable who you're sending your money to. You trust that, right? And then the event itself, physically safe, right? So physical in terms of like the sexual assault craziness,
right?
Safe in the terms of spotters, loaders, the event, the equipment, and safe financially where you want to spend your dollar. Obviously, in a utopian world, we wouldn't have to think about these things, but we're not there yet. We got a lot of work to do. So, this is just a lot of our thoughts. Jim and I talked a little bit off air, but I know we wanted to talk more here with your guys' ears. And hop into Discord if you want, 50percentfacts.com. You can join the Discord, and we can maybe come up with some solutions with y'all, as long as y'all keep it polite and cool. I don't mind anyone's spewing their thoughts and their ideas, and we'll carry them wherever we can. We by no means are the lead voice in this, but we do know a lot of the lead voices in this, and just being meat promoters and runners ourselves and having a community here online and in person, we can make an impact. And again, I've been texting a lot of homies that own gyms and run meets and try to figure things out. We have a lot of friends coming in for our meet here that we'll be able to bounce ideas off. The Barquans, the Micah Morenos, the Joe Staniks, there's the Marcellus. There's a lot of big names in powerlifting coming out here that I'll be able to bounce names off and find out what the correct path is here, because we're just as lost and confused as y'all. Maybe not as lost and confused as, sadly, some of these victims and the things they went through. So trust me, my heart is with you, and we're going to try to find ways that much, much less of this happens across the country. We can only control what we can control. That fucking shit ain't happening here at 3rd Street. Yeah.
We were talking to one of our members last week, talking about a woman, and she's like, I know it's not creepy here. Like, I know it's not creepy here. I went to another gym and guys creeped on me.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen here, and if someone were to do it here, we would throw their ass out.
Yeah.
And that should be the same thing with every federation too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, the complacency that's kind of happened with some of this stuff. And it is all weird, right? Because there's always two sides to every argument. There's always perspective, and the world ain't perfect, and people make mistakes. And I do believe in second chances, but some of this stuff is so beyond second chances. These people seem to, one, cross the line, right? And then two, had multiple cases of everything going on. So I don't know what the answer is, team, but we're trying.
Well, that's where we are. Well, let's tie this one off.
Yeah, so join Discord, 50% Facts, ladies and gentlemen. New episodes every single Wednesday, Friday. We're going to maybe attack this topic a little bit longer if we can get a hold of Joe. If not, I'm sure it'll come up in the future on safe and good powerliftings and any info we get on cool federations or events, we'll spread to y'all. So thanks for joining us. I'm Solid Mike, where you want to find me, 3sb.co for all the clothing, and we'll catch you Friday.
I am at the Jim McD on all those social media. This show is 50% Facts, where percent is a word and 50 is just numbers. 50% Facts is a Spreaker Prime podcast in association with iHeartMedia on the Obscure Celebrity Network. And we'll talk to you next time.